And now it's time for a podcast with Keld Beyond. Keep dreaming, my friend. Keep dreaming.
We nod our heads like we hear it, you know? They won't be able to tell.
Welcome to episode 6 of Keep Dreaming, a podcast about dreams, the video game and creation engine for PlayStation, and the community that brings it to life. I'm your host, Keld Beyond, and we're broadcasting live at twitch.tv/Keld Beyond. And how many times can I say my name at the start of this show? It's a beautiful day on Sunday, October 24th of 2021. And before I introduce our guests, I just want to say thank you so much to Masher Buttons for the theme song you just heard at the start of the show. I asked Masher to make one, and like 20 minutes later, he was like, "Okay, here you go," and it was beautiful. But today on the show, I have the creators. I have RDKatrell22 and SoInDiverse from the Lumbox Studios team. They're the creators of the Impy nominated platformer in Dreams called Splatty's Adventure. And we're going to talk to them about their project, how did their team come together, get into Dreams. And I'm going to say, well, first let me just say it's lovely to have you both here today.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
And we got a lot of stuff that I want to talk about, but before, like right up front, before we go anywhere else, why don't you give me the pitch on the Kickstarter? Like we can go deep on the Kickstarter later, but like just right at the beginning before we get into deep biography here. Why don't you tell me what that is all about?
All right. So I guess I'll be the pitch. For our Kickstarter, it's to number one is to help us speed up production, because building a game like we're building inside of Dreams is not cheap, and it's almost impossible to do for free. So it will help us speed up our production, and also Splatty's Adventures is a game about helping others and kind of like being a good neighbor. So it's there to give us something different than just our usual, shooters and, killing. Just a game about being nice to people, going on an adventure and having fun and being cool at the same time. So that's what our Kickstarter is for, is to help open a diversity of games to more kid-friendly games, but also just to help us make our first big title inside of Dreams become a reality.
Excellent. And you can check in the show notes wherever you're at, on YouTube or Spotify, wherever. We'll have a link to the Kickstarter campaign there for you to click on and throw this team some support if you like. Lumbox Studios. How did you all come together? How many people are on this team? What are your roles? Why don't you give me the background there?
So you could go first with your role.
You want me to go first? Okay. As the co-creator and the level designer, my role, I think I kind of came on about a year ago. So KJ had this idea for Lumbox Studio before I got there, and I came on a year ago to help with the level design. Obviously, I had no experience, so I think the first iteration of a level that I ever created was Sands of Times, and after that, he was like, "Wow, Sid, you actually got a little knack for this. Like, why don't you be the level designer?" And I was like, "Well, you know what? I'll try. Because I don't feel very artistic. I feel like I have a lot of great ideas, but then I'm like that guy that draws the squares and the circles on a napkin. I'm like, this is the great idea, but then sometimes I need someone to put it together. But then KJ gave me the role, and honestly, a lot of my work is showcased in Act 2 because he was entrusting more of what I could do by that point. So a lot of the Act 2 level-isk would be, kind of what I did. But yeah, I'm just more or less level designer, I'd say.
Nice, nice. And had you had, excuse me, had you had any
Oh,
experience in level design before you tackled this?
so actually, I would say absolutely not. Like honestly, no, honestly,
That's where
like
a lot of us are at in
zero.
dreams. Like that is,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
ask because
yeah,
so many of us are doing new things for the first time,
yeah.
like and exploring, yeah, exploring new
It's putting
abilities,
me on the spot.
just like
Like, did you go
Splatty.
to school for it?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I did not go to school for it. I didn't have any experience. Most of my experience is in business development and marketing. And in marketing, you have to be creative. So for me and KJ, we played pretty much the same games. So I kind of knew the style of levels that he was kind of looking for. And every time I develop a level or I grade box or whatever, I get better. And you see that through basically as you play through Act Two, you're like, okay, first one's cool, second one, all right, but the third, the fourth, and the fifth are incredible. And so it's just I'm learning as I go. I feel like a lot of dreamers are doing the same. And so,
Oh yeah,
yeah, I had no formal training at all.
Yeah.
nice, nice. And what would you say? What would you say you are drawing from as far as influences go? Like when you're looking at a level, trying to figure out how to lay it out. What other games are you thinking about?
Okay, so yeah, well, he's really gonna grill me in the beginning. No, I think that for me, when I'm gray boxing, I really pull from what The Last of Us did as far as their gray box development. You can find some of their GDC conferences online, and basically, talking about visual points of interest and really like, showing where the player is going through a level, versus just like making sections that are like walled off. I really pulled from that. Some of the other stuff I pulled from is like KJ loves Mario, and so looking at what Mario had as far as their obstacles go, because Last of Us is very like linear, story driven, whereas Mario is very free flowy, open, and
Yeah, yeah.
so putting the two together is kind of like my role as far as like when I'm thinking of, okay, I want to design a level. And then a lot of times, if you've read through the Kickstarters, I'll make these grand looking levels, and KJ will be like, all right, well, that's too big. So we need to walk that back. And I'm like, well, so
Right.
we usually cut my levels in half, right? So I'll make
Yeah.
a level and we'll cut it in half. We'll be like, okay, that's a good stopping point for a level.
What is
Yeah.
the what is the process you're starting with? Are you doing stuff on paper in Photoshop
Yeah,
or?
so I have this process that I don't know if a lot of people use it, but I normally say draw a line on a piece of paper. Okay, start with a line,
Yes.
and then gray block. I mess up on the word. You'll find out. I mess up on a lot of words, but gray box a level off of a line, and once you have the line, then I have PB run through it and say, is this an interesting line, or is this a boring line? And
Yeah,
then it's like, okay, once we find the main path, we then build the diversity of what we want for ulterior paths off of that. I feel like that's work, but obviously there's still refinement that I want to do and bring to it, and which me and KJ talked about for the third act is the refinement of the building of the level process. But yeah, it really just starts with a line and then build off of a line because you have to get like something visual first to really get the mind going.
yeah, yeah,
Like a nice flow to our organization of how we design the levels. And the first thing before we start any level is pencil and paper because even though Dreams is free flowing and you can just place stuff down, you're placing stuff down in a 3D space and you're not looking at it from a top-down perspective as to where we want the point of interest and the player to go. And so all of us kind of have a knack for a little bit of level design, but Sid excelled more than our other teammates. So that's kind of why I'm offloading that role to him because when you draw that line, okay, now is this line, like you said, is this line interesting or is it boring? Am I walking straight too long for 3 seconds because we have a short attention span as humans? Or do I need to make a corner or make a smooth corner or, And so as he does that, then immediately we have PB play through the most boring level ever, which is our game tester. And if he feels it's too flat or it's too boring, then we start adding stuff. And we make sure that if the gray box is fun to traverse with the move set, then the level is starting off great. But if the gray box is ugly and it's not fun, and we try to fluff it up with making it look pretty, the level still itself is not going to be fun. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what his main goal is.
That's really cool to hear you talk about the process. I mean, I can only imagine just based on my own experience, like developing things in Dreams over a couple of years.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how much different that is from where you started. I mean, when I started, like the first time I laid out a level in Dreams, it was like, oh, I don't know, I guess this is pretty cool. I'll drop this here. I
Just
don't
grab
know.
assets,
Like, yeah, you're like, is it fun? I think so. But no, this is cool to hear how what kind of a process you've got going. And
Yeah.
and you mentioned PB is your main
Yes.
tester. That
Yes.
PB Gamer, I think PB Gamer hustles for the team. PB
No,
Gamer
he-
has been in my chat
PB
like
Gamer is
over time, and that's
everywhere.
like the first time I heard of Splatty's adventure. I think it was because PB Gamer showed up and was like, "Hey, you know, if you want to check out this thing, like I'm a playtester for this thing. You check it out." I'm like, "Cool."
He's a little chatterbox, but that's where we're finding out where his also talents are, you know. We're
Yeah.
even to this day we're finding out our talents and I'm using those talents. So like now in the beginning it was just one man. It was just KJ. And then, you know, that's when after me it was I added PB Gamer because he hustled into my DMs. He slid into my DMs and he was telling me everything that was wrong with Splatty's Adventures. And of course, I was like, who the heck are you talking to me this way?
just came
But then
at you with the list, huh?
yeah, he came at me with, I mean, it was a 3-page Twitter message, and I sat back and I was furiated. I'm like, how are you gonna tell me? You know, I was still learning too. So at that time, I'm like, I'm a master designer,
Yeah,
a level
yeah.
design. And then I sat back and I'm like, but he cares so much about my game to actually send me this message. He's the first person that cared about my game. And so, since he was the first person that cared about my game that much to tell me so strongly how he felt, I messaged him back and I said, "Hey, would you like to join my team?" And he said, "Sure." And then from that point on, we became more like best friends. And I had to tell him like, "Hey, okay, well, I know you're from West Virginia, but I'm from Indiana, and we don't talk like that. So maybe we gotta change up the communication a little bit." But yeah, we became best friends, and he's our game tester, and that's kind of how he came on the team, and he does that. He loves the game, so we put him in the charge of the social media now because he loves to talk. He loves to show
Nice.
it off, and that's where his knack is.
Beautiful, beautiful. Nice to hear you're in Indiana. I'm in the Chicago suburbs myself, and
Yeah, I thought you were close because you
Ooh.
said you know Central Time. I was like Central Time.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
We weren't here early at
One day,
all.
one day, I really look forward to having like a Dreams meetup of just folks in the Midwest. Like I remember the first year of playing Dreams, it felt like I think I knew one person who lived in Rockford, you know, and that was it. I didn't, and I'm like, I live by Chicago. Like this is a big city. How have I not
Yeah.
met any Dreamers
Right.
from Chicago yet? But at this point, like there's so many cool people that I've had a chance to talk to that are probably within an hour, you know, an hour or two drive from this area. So I don't know. Hopefully
Yeah,
one
2
day
hours.
we can have a nice chat in person. I'll be looking
Yeah,
forward to that.
that'd be cool.
When
That'd be
humans
definitely, I'd be down for
are congregating in enclosed spaces, you know, together and
that. Yes.
daring to breathe each other's air. I look
Yeah.
forward to this day. But yeah, RD, can you tell me about now? You obviously you started this project on your own, right? Like you were it was a solo endeavor at the beginning.
Yeah, it was a solo-ish endeavor. For the most part, it was solo. I did have our concept artist join the team after a while, but he helped me come up with the design for Splatty.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What were your like? How big was big was your ambition when you started this game? Did you know, oh, I want to make a big game in Dreams? Like, is that what you were shooting for, or was it kind of like, oh, I'm gonna try out this platformer and see where it goes?
Yeah, no. When I first started, I've always wanted to be a game designer. I knew since I was in junior high. I went to college for 1 year, and it didn't end so well. My teacher's like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And after that, I kind of had to drop out, unfortunately. I didn't couldn't afford it,
Hmm.
and I just kept using different mediums to make level design. And for Halo, I made great maps, did competitions. Minecraft made a mod pack that was fantastic, and then Little Big Planet. And I was always trying to push the boundaries of what you can do, just never got recognized for it is the thing. So I always
Yeah.
made kind of great content, but I just wasn't notarized or noticed for it. And so when I started this, I saw Dreams was actually similar. I was on that Hate Dreams platform at first. I was like,
Oh,
I don't
tell me
want
about
Dreams.
that.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want Dreams. I want Little Big Planet in
Hmm.
3D. That's
Hmm.
how I was, because I made Little Big Planet in 3D on of course it wasn't Meat and Molecules, but on Little Big Planet 3, I made a 3D game on there. And people liked it, but not enough. So I'm like, well, why would I spend my time making something so complicated? So
Yeah.
when Dreams came out and I saw the possibilities, I was like, I can make my own character. And then I started to think, well, let me make a character. And I started to learn a little bit by watching all the videos and the streams. And then that's when I decided I want to make a game inside of Dreams, and I wanted to make a big game. And then when I heard, I think Alex on one of the streams talk about, or maybe it was Marcus Healy, he was talking about how he wish, his dream would be for you to like be able to have your game on the PlayStation Store. I was like, that is a beautiful dream to have. And I was like, maybe they just need somebody to show them that it would be possible to like have a cool game like that. So that's when I just jumped on Dreams, and I'm gonna just go full flash and hopes that maybe one day something more could come of Dreams, because uh right now it's like I don't have any opportunities for making a game. I'm a visual learner. I'm straight visual. I've tried learning stuff from even Destiny raids, when you're like doing a Destiny 2 raid and you're hearing these, oh, you need to do this. I'm just like, I don't get it.
Show
I
me.
need to, yeah,
Show me.
show me,
Yeah.
No, I'm
show
I'm
me.
so with you right now.
Yeah. And so after I started tinkering with Dreams, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna keep pushing it. And I just kept pushing it. And then we decided to fully make a game inside of Dreams. And I just keep pushing the boundaries. And my most recent thing that I released on the platform was my variable multiplier. Definitely pushing the boundaries with that, and I gave it away for free because I'm like, this is too good to keep for myself. I think a lot of people would benefit from being able to have more save data. You know?
I saw that on your profile, and it piqued my interest. But as I said before the show, we have a newborn in the house, and I am a little short on sleep and time at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
so I did not have a chance to investigate this. Can you tell me what a variable
Yeah. Tell
multiplier
him, KJ. Tell
does?
him how cool that is.
Sell me on it.
So,
Why do I need this in my
Tell
life?
him
yeah.
it is really
So
cool.
this is why I think a lot of the people who are making games and dreams need this. So we have 128 variables that we can use. That was the limit that they have. And we all, a lot of the intense developers were hoping they could increase it. The problem I saw is I was the only one that was actually going to use 128 variables for a game. And so if not that many
A lot of
creators
people
are
don't need it. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people aren't using 128 variables, then what's the point of them increasing it? And actually just recently they took it off of their Dreams Trello because I was following it. And then when they took it off, it broke my heart. I'm like, maybe they're giving up on it, and my game will take 138 variables. So I just need like 10 more just to maybe complete Splatty's adventures. So what our multiplier does is it'll take a string of numbers, like a one number, out to nine number of places, and it'll convert it into binary. So it'll take that number and convert it into binary, zeros and ones. And what that means is, as you add to this number, for like you would use it for like save data or unlock. Oh, you beat this level? Add this. Now that makes a 0000001, and that spot means that that level has been beat. So unlock it. And it pretty much, since it's taking that number, one variable, that one number, is multiplying it into 23 slots of ons and offs.
Wow.
And so now that it's multiplying to 23 slots of ons and offs, and it tracks your data, you can multiply 128 variables times 23. So roughly gives you 2,000 on and off save data. Not stats or anything like that, but
Right,
like
right. Just like a
unlocks.
binary. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
just
1 or a
it's
0.
yep, it's just on or it's off. And that's huge for a game like Splatties because every time I unlock a level, you have to save the data.
Right.
Every time somebody completes a challenge, you have to save a data.
That adds
And I
up.
don't think people, yeah, I don't think people think about it that much. And every time you have a settings where it's, oh, inverted camera, that saves the data. Oh, you want this to be toggled, that's a save data. We already got 2 worlds. That's 10 variables right there, and then there's 5 unlocks per world. Things can add up pretty fast.
Yeah.
And so
Demonstrate, KJ. Demonstrate. Uh, well, tell him how to use it. So basically, Kel, you want to enter a number. I think it's in that first blue chip, or is it the yellow one? I don't know which one it pulls the value from. But to
oh yeah,
show him
yeah.
like when it goes through, because I think that visualization is really cool.
Yeah, I didn't even see you had that up. So,
Yeah, he has it pulled out.
if if you go to, I think the top variable, it's a number at the top. It's like a little variable thing at the very tip top, yellow. Yep,
Test
right
3.
there. Yep, and you just put in any random number as long as it's less than 8 million. So you can go 7,563,231.
I really
And
wanted 9 million though. I really, really want.
Yeah, well, that's
yeah,
too bad.
yeah, exactly. It's too bad. And you put any number you want, and then as soon as you put that number in, you click play, those counters are going to um, run and turn on and off based off of the power of 2. So what I'm doing is I'm taking that number and I'm subtracting by powers of 2, and that's how it's saving the data because those numbers never run into each other.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
it's complicated, but it's kind of how it works. Like 1, 2, 4. What's after 4? Is it 8? 2 times, yeah, 8. Then it goes
Hmm.
16, 32, 64, 120, whatever, 120, blah blah, 8, and then it just keeps going, and then it'll just print which ones you have unlocked, which power 2 have you unlocked, and then it'll save that. And so if you add another power 2, it's going to do the math. Hey, he's unlocked this power 2. And so it does involve a little bit of a longer tutorial, which I've recorded. I just haven't uploaded.
Hmm.
But it's so beneficial for people who want to have bigger games to be able to just say,
Yeah,
he's unlocked this, he's unlocked that, and only use that one variable chip, which is less than 1%
yeah,
of their gameplay thermal, which is an important key because if your game is heavy and you have an intense character, you can't waste 5% gameplay or 7% gameplay. And we don't know if
yeah,
they'll ever increase it.
yeah,
So
yeah. Just
there's
just
a
to
lot
make
of work.
a distinction for the listener, for anyone who's not familiar with how variables work in Dreams, I believe there's no limit to variables in general, right? But persistent variables, variables that remember their value as you go from scene to scene. That's where there's a 128 cap, and that's where you need to do something like this if you've got, obviously in a big platforming game, like you said, every time you unlock a level, every time you get an ability or something, like all these different things require a spot to save it. So
Yeah,
this gives you
correct.
more spots. That's very cool. Can I ask if do you have any math background or programming background before getting into Dreams?
No, I just was good at math, and then afterwards, it's just been a lot of Honestly, just a lot of not full research, but just talking out. Everything I've kind of learned has been through dreams or YouTube channels where I'm watching, Boundary Break and, Nitro Rat, how other games are like made and deconstructed a teeny bit. And then, if I run into an issue, it's up to me to figure it out because I am our programmer for Splatty's Adventures. And so, it is kind of just my knowledge and dreams and how dreams taught me. Like,
Yeah.
there's correct terms that they use, if you was to convert this to another engine, but I just like dreams terminology so much because I can visually understand it, I
Yeah.
can understand a calculator or variable modifier. Health modifier, that makes sense, but in other engines they use different terminologies and I can't visually see that. I need to visually see it in my mind.
I'm with you on a lot of that. I tried learning a little bit of coding here and there. I played around with Game Maker a little bit. I also spent a lot of time in Halo Forge. Um, I never played Little Big Planet. I missed that one because I didn't have a PlayStation back then. But the reason Dreams works so well for me is just the visual programming. Like even if you don't know you don't know anything about programming, if you can follow a wire and understand that they're
Exactly.
carrying signals and that they're carrying values and what do those values do, like you can you can kind of make anything happen. It might not be
Yeah.
pretty, right? Like my
Right.
logic is not always pretty, but I can make something happen when I need to. And yeah, yeah. You know what I want to ask you, RD?
Yeah.
How as the team has grown, and I'd be curious to know how big the team is also. But as the team has grown, how has your role changed from being the person who's just who's creating the whole thing, to
Mhm.
now having people, other people helping out?
Yeah. So currently right now we have five members. There's me, my brother Sid, PB Gamer. We have a concept artist named Sliver Screen Mark, and then our composer Nilo, who's from the Netherlands. And the first thing that I noticed, I needed a somebody who can make music, and Sid suggested to hit Nilo up on Twitter because he liked some of his songs. I messaged him, and he just joined right on the project. He liked what I was doing, and he joined, and he's been with us ever since. He's been there from the beginning. And that's one thing I can't do. I can't make music, but I've done, I was doing the programming, I was doing the art, the level design, the testing, I was doing everything. And then now what's happening is, and what I'm learning and as I've been growing is I am offloading things. I'm taking off my hats and wearing different shoes and I'm letting other people do those roles and letting them grow too because at the beginning it was rough. I felt like their talent and skills wasn't up to par for the quality that I wanted. And so there was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of me saying no. Like that's not how you do it. No, I'm just gonna do it. And no. And then eventually I started to say yes. And it mainly came down between me and Sid kind of getting into it because I was
all the time,
limiting, yes,
all
all
the
the
time,
time, pretty much.
all the
I
time.
was limiting his vision and his creativity because to me it wasn't up to par. And I was saying that I didn't think it was up to par. But if he never got that experience, how's he gonna improve on it? And that's
Yeah,
where it hit me like,
yeah.
and I think it really struck me when he was watching those Last of Us GDC uh or whatever it was, TED Talks, I don't know, about the level design and lighting, and he changed my perspective on lighting. Like I
Mm.
loved my lighting and I wanted to keep it very nostalgic and flat and keep it like,
Ah, yeah.
N64. Because I call Splatty's Adventures a nostalgic reboot is what I call it. So if you play, you should get a whole bunch of references. But he changed my idea of what the perfect lighting was, and I let him do his thing. And while he was doing it, and I was watching him, I was like cringing on the inside. I was like,
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
like it.
funny. We'll have to
Yeah.
deep dive on that. We'll
No
And
have to deep dive.
shadows.
Yeah.
and so then afterwards, I took a step back. I stopped watching. I said, let him finish first. And then what he finished, I was like, it's not what I was going for. but I like it. And
Yeah.
then I started to really just play through it, and I started to look at it, and I compared it, and I'm like, he's improved it. And I said, okay, I want you to do the next level,
Yeah.
change the lighting on the next level. And then from that point on, I really started to open up and be like, people can learn and they can improve. And maybe even if it's not what I think is the best, up to par or, quality from me, what I would put out, because I was doing most of it and my quality was really great and we could, stand for that. But I would take a hit in quality and have my team grow with me versus having the biggest quality and it's taking forever to get work done because I'm the only guy doing it. And
Yeah.
so that's where I think our team has grown a lot is because now I'm saying, all right, Mark, you're the concept, you're the artist, you're gonna model, do this, get it done. You didn't do it right, it looks okay, fine. I'll take that okay asset, I'm gonna use it, or I'll tweak it and then use it versus me creating it from the ground up. All right, PB, are you gonna test this? Go test it. Does it feel great? You say so, okay. If it feels like crap, I'm gonna let everybody else say it feels like crap, and I'm gonna blame you instead of that's kind of how I learn. And then for the lighting and the level design, like you just said, oh, this level, and I'm like, bro, this is too big. Can you shrink it up? And then he'll shrink it up. Versus me saying, no, I'll do level design because you're always making it too big. No, and now he's learning to shrink it up, and he's getting to the correct size. It's still a little bit big, but he's getting there. He's getting there, and so I think that's good for a company to grow is to give people that opportunity to learn, put their hands on, and visually see what they're doing.
I gotta
Yeah.
say, as far as the lighting goes, like I said, I haven't played Splatty for. It's been many months. I don't know. I don't know exactly how long, but the last time I played it, I think was before the lighting change you're talking about. And I think it is a nice. I think good job on the lighting and good job
Yeah.
letting it go.
Thanks.
Because
Yeah,
like
they're good
Yeah.
growing.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
you've got a
That
vision.
day was
Like
funny.
Hmm.
what did it come to fisticuffs? Like how did this? How
Oh
big a
my gosh. So
conflict did this turn into?
I'll basically I duped KJ into basically changing it because it was like I was talking to Mark and I'm like, Mark, man, look, I played It Takes Two and I was like, that game is incredible, absolute
Incredible.
masterpiece. And
Loved
I
it.
was like, I learned from it like a lot about the light and atmosphere, and I was like, Mark, like, let me just show you like what I would do to this level. So I tweaked the level, like the live level. I was tweaking it, and then KJ got on Discord because he didn't know that I was messing around with it. He gets on Discord, and then he sees I'm just changing all the lighting, and then he was just like, I saw it in his face. I'm like, oh, this is killing him because it was very saturated the colors,
Yeah.
and I diluted them a little bit. Um, and I saw him dying on the inside, and then I just remember him like saying, yeah, you can save it, you can save it, and he left. And so I was tweaking it, threw in some atmospheric fog, threw in the rays of light. If you go to Pastor's Pike, through the sign, the rays of light, the casting of the shadows, baking some of the shadows on the ground through painting. Um, I threw in all these techniques that I had learned from playing It Takes Two and watching those things, and I was just like, he's gonna hate it at first, but eventually he'll come around to it. And sure enough, after he left and he kind of came back to it, he's like, man, what it did was it didn't take away from his color scheme. It only modernized what was there. Like I was never trying to take away from the colors. I was only trying to
Yeah.
modernize. Like we have a great system, Dreams. So why not show Dreams like what it can do in a modern sense? And that's pretty much like where most of the inspiration came from. It's like we don't have to be 100% nostalgic as far as the look. We can be modern but feel nostalgic. And so that was my biggest takeaway from It Takes Two is like at this bedroom scene and it was absolutely gorgeous, but it was modern. Like the lighting was modern. I was like, man, like it'd be cool if we had that. So that's kind of like I took my inspiration and I just ran with it. And that day, KJ was so mad at me. He literally like just left the call. I'm like, dude, just wait, just look at it.
But I think it was really good. It was great growth because it's one of those things where Like I said, you get into your mind, I'm the creative director. That's not, good enough. But in terms, it's like what I had in mind was, oh, old games were very saturated. I wanted them to be saturated so it could be fun, it could be vibrant, it could be bright. And he was muting things a little bit, but mainly just adding lighting. And I was like, I don't like the muted look because it's not, nostalgic. But then, like we said, we can modernize it. So that's why I call it a nostalgic reboot. So it can look great. Like that lighting looks fantastic now. But if you go to the old one, it was very
Oh my gosh, if he could go to
it
the
didn't
old one,
have
that'd be
it didn't have that
man.
that breath, that uh air. You didn't feel the time of day, whereas now you feel like you feel the time of day, and it just helps enhance the game. It helps enhance the
Yeah.
character. And yeah, once
It's
once I
another it's
learned,
another language, right? Like another
yeah.
language to
Yeah.
communicate with.
And so now I'm, starting to dabble with things with the lighting too, and improving my lighting skills from what I've learned from him. And it's kind of cool to see us collaborate now on the lighting. Like I'll let him do something, I might tweak it, and then he might tweak it, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay. I say, in the end of the day, you're the lighting guy. You do it. I'm just here to tweak what I think, and if you don't like it, just remove it. And I'll take your word for it because I don't want to have to do the lighting anymore. You're gonna do lighting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like, yeah, yeah. So Sid, do the lighting. I'm like, dude, really?
Yeah, and so we've improved a lot of things through gameplay and art and stuff like that, where we say no's and it hurts somebody's feelings, but we have to grow. And at the end of the day, I do have the last say so because I am the creative director, but I now know to trust my judgment. If I think somebody else's idea is better, then I just say let's run with it. Or if I just don't have the time, I say let's run with it because we need to get the product out there for people to play and really see what we have envisioned, even though everybody's always behind on our our builds, they at least get to see somewhat what we have going. And I think that's important.
How far how far along is the game? Well, I guess maybe the question is, is there an end goal? Or is this sort of is it something you expect to keep expanding without a plan to end it?
Oh, I mean, well, it's funny because no one knows what we have planned, but we have there's this platform called Milano, and it's an all visual board, which is great for KJ because once again, all visual. We already have every world, every bonus level, pretty much all the mechanics, all the customization. We pretty much
Mhm.
have everything planned out visually. There's documentation for it. It's just a matter of getting there. We basically discover that it is not easy to produce levels to a high quality, and it's funny that we get judged as such. Like if our levels are lacking, people give us no slack. They treat it like a real game, and they're like, well, the developers should have, done better here, here, and here. It's like, man, you get so immersed in it, you forget that it's a dreams project. And so we push this quality, and this quality slows down our time frame because we know if we mess up, they're gonna rip into us and let us know that it's crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And i.e., one of the biggest changes that no one even pays attention to is the crystals. Like you're picking up these crystals, and for a very long time, KJ loved that crystal sound. And once again, I came in and I was like, KJ, we can change this crystal to be a little less piercing on the ears. And he hated me for it, but we came to terms
It was our artist, man. Our artist was like, he was
every
like,
day.
these is his exact word. Dude, the crystal sounds is annoying. And I'm just like, annoying? Where were you when I was making this by myself? And I was like, screw you. And yeah, from that point on, I said no. And I was no, no, no. And then the final thing we came to do is change the crystals. And I think everybody loved it. And we loved it. And it's a lot of things. It's like we don't want our game, replicatable inside of Dream. So it's a custom sound. And that was a big thing for me because even then, I played a recent Dream and I heard some of the sounds that we were using and they were using for similar things. And I'm just like, it won't be taken serious unless there's definite things that makes it stand apart and stand up to a AAA game. And that's what we're going for. And so we have everything planned, but we're slowly tweaking those small, subtle things that people don't notice like the flex you just got from the combo when you're getting a combo, the flex that are flying in your face. I hate that now because I'm just like somebody else can just have flex. So I have an idea to improve that so it's not flex. It's something that takes a little more time. It looks better, and then that'll make our game stand out even more from games built inside of Dreams. We want our game built inside Dreams for people to look at it as a big title, a big project, and we want people to say, hey, you need to fix this. Because if you're saying, hey, you need to fix this, that means you care about our project enough to actually talk to me that way, like somebody else
Yeah.
did in
Yeah.
PB Gamer. And if if you really want the game to improve, and I think if we want like Dreams to have like some kind of standard or quality, I think Splice Adventures is one of those games that can be, one of the leaders to showcase quality because it's a really big game right now that people can play in early access, but then it gets way bigger afterwards. And that's why we have the Kickstarter. So if you enjoy the 3 hour game you're playing right now, because that's how long roughly Splatter's Adventures takes. If you enjoy the 3 hours to try and do a lot of things, or some people take 5 hours, then you'll definitely enjoy how much we've improved on it and what's not in the game right now because there's still a lot of things missing out of some of these first worlds that are might take me 15 minutes to do, but we have to make sure that quality is, comparable to, Mario Odyssey, A Hat in Time, and all these other Outer Dreams games. Because once that conversation between those journalists, you know, platform and the people who are on YouTube who looking up 3D platforms, once they see Sply's Adventures and they're like, man, this game plays great. It plays just like Mario Odyssey, but it's more free. That's what we want. And then we can bring that
I'm
audience
watching
into
him play
dreams.
right now, and I'm like, looking at the analytical data from like, and that's the thing. Like, it's funny once you start being a developer, you don't look at games the same ever, like ever. You like I play anything now, and I'm just like, okay, I see the static meshes, I see the textures, I see the lighting, and so just looking at how you were playing, it's like, okay, so what happens if they miss that giant rock in the entry of that room? Like they're lost. So
Yeah.
just it's funny. It's funny that the amount of um, how serious we have to take dreams. And I think that we're really like I think a lot of the community thinks we try to shut ourselves off from being inclusive in what's going on, but really we're trying to produce something that can hold up to what is being compared to. And then even then it's like, oh, and then people forget that it's on dreams and it's like, the variable count, persistent variable counts, those limitations that we face, non-transparency textures and stuff like that, like for what it is, I would hope that the community would be pretty ecstatic with what we're doing because we want people to see dreams as a game engine to be used for future stuff, and that's why we're trying to make everything in house. We don't use other people's stuff unless it's created in the project,
All the
and
assets
we're
are
specifically
there's
collaborating.
no Dreamiverse assets in Splatties.
Yeah, no Dreamiverse. There was a couple at one point, that I had used in a level, but
Play testing,
yeah,
no, what was it? Your test levels. For test levels, we
yeah.
might have used a
Hmm.
couple, but we
Sure.
credited the people. But afterwards, when we removed our test levels and just gave them only levels to play, all the assets are created in house. We have our own dev kit collection that houses over like 700, 800 assets, where
Yeah.
we're just pulling from because it gets so convoluted. Like we run into issues that people don't run into. Like when I have to update our dev kit, I have to make sure I go into each and every collection and update, 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 update. And then if I have to add somebody to the 20 assets I made, I have to go add my team to a whole bunch of, and so we run into these issues where we're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, here's the thing. I just can't follow anybody at this point because I don't have to scroll through names to add them because I still have friends from PlayStation. I still have that. So now, since I
Yeah.
only follow my team, when I click add to, collaborator, I click on the, add collaborator, and then I just scroll over one because I can't get rid of the, what do media molecules.
Dream Queen. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just 1, 2, 3, 4, bam. Now I can move to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then move to the next one because I add each and every one of us to that asset because there's some disconnect with how will I know if I missed them? I can't tell.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that we run into that I don't think a lot of small developers run to because either they're doing it alone or they haven't collaborated yet with a larger group.
Yeah, I've definitely felt that friction at certain points. Like if you've got a lot of assets to manage for a project, Dreams could
It
use
gets
it could
very
use some
yeah
it could use some help in making that easier. It could
Yeah.
yeah.
more functions that more features that help you collaborate as a team. Do you guys have
hmm
any requests? Like any Dreams features that? I mean, obviously, being able to add people to multiple assets at
Hmm.
once, that would be
Yeah.
amazing. That would be really
If you
cool.
could just say, hey, if I add this person to a collection
Hmm.
and there's private objects in this collection, but they're made by me,
Yeah,
they should be able to have access to all those assets in that collection. That would be
yeah.
the best thing because now I have right now it's every single individual object, and if it was collection based, it would be easier. But I can manage right now. Right now I'm managing, but it is one of those things where I think I have to schedule out like 3 hours a day to make sure everybody's up to date on all the assets in our dev kit.
I don't know if this would help you, but I like early on when I realized, oh, if you have something as its own element, and then you put a lot of it in a scene, you can update them all at once. Obviously, you guys know how that works.
hmm
Super powerful. Like when before you do
Very.
that, you're thinking, oh no, I got to delete all my trees and stamp down new trees again. Or yeah,
hmm
no, don't do that. But over time, I have gone from creating individual assets to if I have a project where I know there's going to be 30 different things,
Mhm.
I will build them all in one element now. And it made my life a lot easier. I know there are probably some slight disadvantages, but overall, it's getting the job done for me, and it just saves me Dreams file management. Look, this I want to talk about you guys, so I'm not
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
not going to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
down this rabbit hole
He's going down
too
a dark
far.
path.
But Dreams
Yeah.
file management really needs some help. I mean, just the actions of just deleting and archiving, and how do you know what's showing up in my creations, and just
Yeah.
all of that needs help. So having all those elements contained in one element has been a big help for some projects for me.
I
It's
think
funny
yeah.
to me. I was gonna say something really fast. It's interesting to me that what we saw from Dreams like year one, it was obviously catered to take itself seriously, but not too seriously. And as the longer creators stayed on it, and our creations only got more and more complex, it starts to turn into a game engine for us. And you can see that they weren't prepared for that. And that part is interesting to me because I'm like, folders would have been nice, collaborative groups
Hmm.
would have been nice.
Yeah.
Like KJ saying, you add someone to a collection and give them permissions for everything. We've had issues where we would go to update the dream, and because I created something or something was private, the entire project could not be updated that day. And I think there was a couple times where we had a bugged out thing and we couldn't
That's the
update for
worst.
days.
That was the worst. Yeah.
Those were
Yeah.
dark times.
I
We
think
Those
haven't
were
most
dark
ran
of
into that
us
times.
have
anymore.
most of us who have worked on big collaborative projects have been there at some point. Like
Yeah.
I've had like trying to get something done before a jam, and I'm adding someone on every single platform I know them on. To go, oh, could you
Yeah.
please release this as remixable? Like,
Yeah.
I
Let's.
didn't realize. We didn't realize
Yeah.
this was unreleased. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be a lot of headaches for sure.
Ran into a couple bugs too, and it haunts us till this day. But hopefully, there's a better solution to some of those bugs. But I definitely think that having the assets in a scene, like a couple assets in one scene, that could be useful for some things. It really could. The one thing I did notice that we do a lot is like if we go back and we look at this level and we have like a little checklist, like is this level, meet our check marks? Is it fun? Is it playable? Does it look great? Blah blah. The good thing about us having it separate is our concept artist and our artist, he's kind of like he works differently. So he likes to
He is
move
special.
things. Yeah, he likes to move things. And if we have multiple, that'll be just too much for him, and I know it is. And so I help him. He's the guy that used the left and the right. He used the, what does he call it? Left right thumbstick.
Yeah, he
Kind of.
doesn't use the move
He
controller
doesn't
to
use the
move
move
around.
controller.
He just used the
Oh,
thumbsticks.
wait. Oh, you
Yeah,
mean like the Oh yeah. What's the
Yeah,
what?
he's one of those left stick guy.
I know what you're
yeah,
talking about. He doesn't use
eh,
the motion controls.
No,
yeah.
Yeah.
He
yeah.
uses the sticks, and I don't get it. I don't get it. But I work to his where he can and where he can't. I'll do it.
Hmm.
I'm like, all right, let's get a nice curve, and I see this little, because he's using a thumbstick. I was like, all right, I'll go ahead and fix it for you. But it works. It's definitely different, but it works. I think we have tried that. It's just he moves things too much because he's always in and out, and it's just how his
Yeah.
brain works, and I can't complain about that.
Yeah, that motionless control scheme, for me, like the one time I tried it, it felt like it was going to be really slow,
Yeah.
but really precise. I mean, if
It
you
is
want to
really
do a straight
precise.
line, like,
That's what I use it for.
yeah,
Yep,
Hmm.
straight lines. I will switch to that if I need to do something really precise and straight. I think I use it for sometimes animations. If I need an animation that's
yeah,
very precise on one plane, I will use that left stick movement instead of my moves, because there's always that little bit of shake. And so
yeah.
there are some advantages I've learned. I've delved deep. I've turned off vibration while using animations. I've turned off camera shake while using animations, because all that stuff you got to learn the way to use dreams.
Yeah, sometimes you want that organic handheld feel, and then other times it's got to be tight.
Yeah.
You need something a little straighter. You were talking about watching me play the level before. I was
Oh, I'm
hoping
still watching
I was hoping
adamantly.
that I wasn't distracting the level designer
No, no, I'm
by playing the
adamantly
level.
watching and assessing.
Well, don't forget that you're watching a person who is running a podcast and playing your game for the first time in many, many, many months. So
Well, I mean,
there's another
those are the
wall
best
of
people,
like
though.
when you
Those are the
watch me just
best
walk
people.
past something and completely miss it. That's true. This is probably a good study. Like this is a very distracted person right now,
Yeah,
trying to
exactly.
successfully play your game and for an audience.
Hmm.
And that's
I think.
usually the people we get too.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think you're literally the people we get. One of KJ's students, because he teaches dance. We watched him play, and he was all over the place. I mean, he's talking to the camera and just goofing off, but he's trying to actively get through the level. And I'm like, well, that's kind of our clientele. It's like, anybody that plays streams, typically they want to show off the cool creations that are here, and so they'll try to record it. And it's like you gotta develop for the distracted person. So I'm just watching you play it to just see.
Yeah. If the distracted person or my wife can get through the game,
Oh my
then
gosh! Oh
then anybody should be able to get through the game. At that point,
yeah.
I can't help I can't help you out anymore. That's about it. I got assist mode, that's getting improved, but if that doesn't help you, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to play with a friend. What I'm saying, like, you're gonna have to have somebody tell you where to go. But we've improved a lot. A lot of things have been improved over time, especially our control schemes, and there's reasons for everything. Like, people don't know that, but there's reasons for every single change we make.
I mean, you've got a lot of controls in this game, don't you? It
Oh
seems like
yeah. There's
there's a lot going on. Like it's not overwhelming at the start. Like I just started a fresh playthrough here. I'm on the first level, and not overwhelming here. But I know from what I've seen and from what I've played before that that there is a lot going on. In fact,
yeah.
maybe you
It's
can
the Dark
tell.
Souls of platforming. The Dark Souls.
Maybe you can tell people like you've billed Splatty's Adventure as a 4D platformer. And maybe you could tell us what that is all about.
Ooh, do I get to talk about it, or do you want to talk
Start
about
the
it?
That's on
tackle, and then
YouTube.
I can tackle it later. So
You
you
can
start
fight
it.
for it.
Okay, so realistically, right, in these first two levels, it should be more platforming. But what we noticed in Act Two from the first two levels that we had releases, people forgot that there was time abilities, and the latter half of the game is reliant heavily on the time abilities. And so, as we were designing these first levels, I always say to KJ, like, man, let me throw in my time obstacles because I got really, really cool ideas. But we really wanted to dive it back because like what we want to build we want it to be platformy in the beginning. And then as a player is developing through playing through levels over and over again, they develop their skill set. So the only skill gap is the knowledge gap. And so what you were just looking at was something that I brought in recently that we call knowledge checkpoints. A knowledge checkpoint is you learn move sets later in the game. And then if you come back to a level like this, you know these move sets and you see things and then you start to piece together, oh, if I do these specific rewind, play, stop controls in a certain order, I can make certain things happen. And so we want to have future things in the early levels, but at the same time, like all of this ties into learning the time control, but not slapping the player with like one level's just
Controls, yeah.
rewind, one level's stop time, one we
Yeah.
have to give you guys several levels to really learn it. And that's kind of like Act Two is all about rewind. And if you get to the boss in Act Two at any point, you'll see that Act Two is reliantly heavy on rewind, like rewind, rewind, rewind. And so the design to bring in rewind and then bring in stop time and slow down time is kind of like our first iterations. But then once you get to the latter acts, Act Four and Five, we're bringing in this new thing called inversion. And inversion, if you've seen Tenet, is where you have to think like something is playing in reverse, and when you rewind it, you're playing it in its normal state. And so um, we're basically like that's the premise behind why we say it's a 4D platformer because it takes those traditional concepts and then it adds the twist to the obstacles are now you know going in different ways and how you manipulate your time abilities to control those obstacles is what we're working towards.
And I think one of the things that a lot of people miss is like we have to have so many controls because we want our game to be free form. I feel like uh I've been recently playing Mario Odyssey and I'm gonna touch on that. But like if free form means, and this is why I say nostalgia reboot. Splatty's Adventures, if you see something and you can clearly see there's a possibility to get there, you should be able to get there. That's what we want. We don't like to barrier things with invisible walls. We don't like that.
I
And that's
like
also
that you don't
our game.
like that.
Yeah, we want to make sure the barriers are either something that's physically there or something that you can't reach or something that you just don't have the knowledge to reach. And that's kind of like our let's call our second controller is that knowledge gap. Like our brains has so much storage, and we're trying to teach the players as much as we can. Unfortunately, it is a large gap, which makes Splatty's Adventures a little difficult. But we have to teach the player all the moveset controls plus more controls, with the time, and then we have to teach them concepts. That's the hardest part, is to teach them
Yeah.
concepts. And not only teach them concepts, we gotta teach them, hey, you can combine concepts together and have these things. And people will always have oh, I didn't know you could do that, or maybe you can. It's like we need to answer those. Maybe you can. We need to answer those. This should work, and the answer should be yes. If you think it should work because we've already done that work for you and thought about it. And that's
That's
where
yeah.
we have these knowledge checkpoints, and that's where there's a lot of controls because you can't get anywhere. You can get anywhere in Splatty's Adventures. We want you to get out our maps. If you get out our maps, kudos. There might be something for you. That's what we want because we like getting out of maps. I think people generally like trying to break some games. And so find it. There's something out there. And if there's something you think is cool, do it. Show us. Take a picture. That's what we want. We want to make it challenging though. We don't want to make it easy. We want to make it challenging for you to get out the map. But we also want you to be able to go anywhere you think you can go. And I think that's the cool part. Take a screenshot. We got photo mode in, upload it.
Did everyone catch that? If you break out of the map, there might be something there for you. There might be
Yeah,
some Easter eggs
yeah.
hiding off in the horizon
Mhm.
somewhere.
I
Yeah.
think Bungie was a big proprietor of like putting things on the outside of maps, especially Halo 2.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Scarab gun being on top of the towers. There was little like teddy bears and stuff.
Amazing.
They Yeah, I mean that type of stuff. Like
Halo 2 had
I
the
just remember,
skulls that you had to find,
yeah, and the
right?
skulls, yeah,
Like
even were
I mean, like
outside of the map
they
sometimes.
weren't in the menu in Halo 2, were they? Or were they? They were just like
No,
kind of like Easter
Halo 2, you had
eggs.
to find them.
You
Yeah,
Yeah,
find them.
Easter eggs.
And that
that's
was the
fun.
thing
Yeah.
for Halo 1 and Halo 2, Halo 3. It's like get out the map, you find these schools, you get something in return. And it's like we want to make sure we showcase that. And even though like Sid was saying our game's a 4D platformer, it doesn't just stop with being able to control time. It's also the premise of our story you'll find out is also 4D. And everything
Oh,
you see has something to do with time. Everything you see, like our story is so interwoven and it will be told, through gameplay, through the environment, through the character and everything you see because we like games with stories. And I think
Hmm.
we found out we don't like games without stories. It's just not fun. I don't think a fun game without story is that captivating. And I've been playing Mario Odyssey and I will tell you the game feels great. It feels great. I don't like the story. Be
hmm.
honest with you. Uh, I've never liked the game feeling a little too like cheesy for me. Like it feels too kind of kid friendly. Of oh, Bowser is gonna marry Peach and he's in a wedding outfit. It's like this is the big bad boss in a wedding outfit in all white with purple. Like I'm an adult. I want to throw Bowser into some spikes again.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I've been playing Mario Odyssey and I realized their level design is very safe. I don't feel like
Hmm.
I can get anywhere interesting is the thing. There's spots, but it's not interesting. I don't feel like I'm actually breaking outside the map or getting
Right.
somewhere unique. I feel like it's almost too safe and it was too planned for me. But I'm playing it, I'm enjoying it, and then I'm like, download, download, download. Let's see how that compares to Splatty. No, I feel like it's almost just out your reach. You want to get there, and then you get there, and you're like, "Oh, that was cool. Now what?" And then that's where you want to find more spots. That's why we encourage it. We really encourage people breaking out of our maps. We've made sure you can break out of our maps. We've also went through and tested the game. Make sure you can do it without dying. We've even tested the game. Make sure you can do all the way through Act Two without using time abilities except for one part, without using time abilities, 100%. Like that's what we want to make sure. And at first it seems impossible until you really learn you can do it. And that's
Yeah.
exciting.
Do you want to touch on the story, or do you want to? I mean, because everybody asked the question, like, well, what's the story?
I'm curious
I,
whether the theme of time was
mhm.
part of your story to begin with, or if the mechanic
uh,
kind of brought that into the story.
Well, so KJ kind of he has like the idea of like where he wanted to take the story, and I kind of was like, you know what, I like writing stories. I know what it's about, so let me just take the helm and write the story. And so I've written quite a bit, I'll say. Like I'm pretty far in the story. Obviously, there's some pieces at the end that I really want to strike and get right. But it was funny because like as I'm like writing like parts of the story, I'm like crying and I'm happy and it's affecting my mood so much and I'm just like, well, let me just take a break from that. But yeah, the story is something that you know it's relatable, I think, to everyone, and
Everybody.
and that is where it's like the relatability is where I want to hit, but then subverting the expectation of what people think this game is. Like everyone will have the formulation in their mind of like Mario. But what if it was like Mario but an adult version, which is what KJ's hitting on? Like, a lot of people that played Splatties are adults. There are kids and there will be the kid version. But then what happens when, you get to that part where it's like, okay, how do we subvert the expectation for the adults to make it so that it drives home on concepts that we all experience? And we really have some really, really good twists and turns that are already narratively written in there. It's just funny that sometimes KJ is like, "Sid, yo, you making it real dark." I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be too dark, but I want you to feel something, right? Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like music like Hans Zimmerman, like what Nilo does. Like I like to feel things, and
Mhm.
if you ever saw the stuff on Twitter, the Silent Night entrance was like incredible. That was like to me, even though it's just kind of a cinematic experience, it's like you feel like, wow, this is about to be the coolest boss fight ever, and it's really fun. I mean, it's the feeling and that when you get the chills. I want people to get the chills pretty much all the time. I want you to wear a blanket when you play the game because you're just so like you're so immersed with like, man, that was actually really sick. And that is like my thing is like I love epic moments, and the new movie Doom that just came out, no spoilers.
Yeah, no
It has a
spoilers.
lot of
I haven't seen
yeah,
it.
no spoilers.
Did I
No
mention I have a
spoilers.
baby?
Yeah, no spoilers. So Dune has a lot of cinematic and amazing sets, like incredible sets. Cinematically, artistically, it is absolutely incredible. So, how do I encapsulate that in a game where people think, "Oh, it's just a kids game"?
Right.
That is where, like, we really wanted to give them the flip of the coin with Act Two, but then we're really flipping the coin in 3 and 4. And once you get to, the later ones, you'll be like, okay, they had something that they were really holding out on.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much like why you see the skill set you do, because it's not just made for kids. This is made for adults, teenagers, and kids.
Yeah.
Most kids probably won't play through the whole thing, to be honest. But and a teenager or an adult would. They'll sit through and play through a 20-hour campaign, whereas a little kid would probably play through Act One and be like, "That was great."
Yeah.
So that's kind of like with the story. That's kind of where we're trying to appeal to it. It's like make everybody have something that they can relate to.
That is how can you relate to our game? And there's tons of things riddled in there. Even on that our last boss that we just released, there's tons of Easter eggs riddled right in there. And we don't want to just leave it to the Easter eggs. That's where cutscenes would be very helpful for the game.
It'd be super
With,
nice.
with with the Kickstarter, like if
Yeah.
we can just have these cutscenes, they don't take us that long to make. If we just have these cutscenes to tell you the lore instead of having it riddled with Easter eggs, that'll be perfect so you can get the story because we want to have these pages, every like I said, every environment should have an Easter egg in there, which you could be like, oh, I think I remember this. Oh, I think I remember that. Or you can relate it to a game you might have played. And be like, this reminds me of, which we've gotten a lot. People have been figuring some things out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
This reminds me of, and I'm like, yes, 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 it should, because you understand. So now that you understand, let's go a little deeper into it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, I want to talk. I want to talk a little more about the story because I was looking over your
Hmm.
Kickstarter page, and there's a lot of emphasis on the story you want to tell and the tone that you want to hit for this game. To read a portion of it, this says. The reason Splatty's adventure is important to us is because we want to help fill the void so many of us have inside. There are tons of
Right.
children and young adults who are missing love and compassion from others in today's society, and we want to bring that feeling back into the homes of those who have lost someone or who have never had anyone. Loss. You're giving me goosebumps
Mm.
just reading about the story.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
plan to use our creative storytelling similar to a bedtime story to teach basic social and problem solving skills. We want to empower our players with their creativity and allow them to learn that they never have to feel alone again. Loneliness, loss, creativity.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah. Yeah.
like you've got a lot of
Yeah.
big themes here. Like tell me about where this started and how it's evolved over time.
Ooh,
Either one of
okay.
you.
Let me pull a KJ without pulling a KJ, because I think that um everybody's going to experience it at some point. If you haven't, God bless your soul. Like, how fortunate. But we've all lost someone, and we've all lost bits of ourselves as we grow older. And that could be due to the presence of social media, the way, people make us feel about the way we should be as people. And so the story is hitting on that in ways that is not fed to you directly. And I
Correct.
think that
Yeah.
that is the beauty of it. It's not supposed to be fed to you directly. You are going to piece it together as you go, and that is, I think, the beauty of when you can make something and a person can watch it twice or 3 times and get different elements from it. I think you have an experience that is something that people will be talking about for years to come. um, like to give you an example, It Takes Two story is something you can play it once. get it from the very beginning to end. You
Hmm.
don't need to play the game again because you played it once and you get this story, you understand it. Whereas like a film like Christopher Nolan's Tenet, you have to see that twice to understand it, three times to dissect it, and for the fourth time to really watch the movie. But that's not to say it's bad. And this seller was the exact same way. To watch it the first two times, to really get and understand some of those concepts. I think to me, those are the films that are regarded as the better is when you can watch it
So
or
multiple
play it
times.
multiple times, yeah, and experience and pick up little Easter eggs and stuff. That is where I'm trying to really take the narrative.
And so, kind of what we're doing, I'm gonna make a little joke here. We kind of have we're doing it in two layers. Here's your basic layer that a kid will be able to understand, and here's your adult layer.
Hmm.
And so, we're gonna baby feed it visually for the most part. It's gonna be fed through a bottle visually,
Yeah.
but the concepts and everything behind it is going to be fed to the ones who've experienced it a little bit more. And I think I can go ahead and say this, like when you're looking at Splatty and you hear creativity and you hear conformity, you have an idea of what the game is about. And that's that. To a
Yeah.
kid, it might be like, oh, you're fighting conformity and not know what the word conformity means and just be beating up the bad guys until they understand that maybe Splatty is trying to push them back with his paintbrush, which his paintbrush is symbolic for his creativity. And as adults, we're like, okay, well, why would the conformity be attacking his creativity? And that's what the basic premise of the story is. But as you're going through it, you're gonna experience that loss. You're gonna experience feeling alone. Right now, Splatty, you haven't seen all the characters we have for the game, but right now Splatty isn't alone. But you never know what could happen during his adventure. He's cute and
Hmm.
whatnot, and
He is
he
cute.
he's a little kid, and we have lore to him, so then you can understand maybe, like you're playing Polybrick. What does Polybrick represents? You know what Polybrick represents. You know where we got the idea of Polybricks from. But I think we've all played with Polybricks at least once in our life,
I have
and
played with non-specific brick
Yeah,
toys with no.
non-trademark. Yeah,
Well, I think we're allowed to
non-trademark.
say Lego. I mean,
yeah, I think we're allowed to say it. I
Yeah,
just I just make sure I
yeah,
say Polybricks.
yeah, yeah.
oh yeah,
You
oh
never
yeah.
know what could happen. So it's like
I like
I
your
think we've
hexagon
all
bumps too. That's a nice
exactly
Mhm.
change.
hexagon bumps, and they're flat on the bottom. So it doesn't have to make sense, but it makes sense. So it's one of those
Mhm.
things where I think we've all experienced that. And then if you went to Mushroom Forest, you might be like, hey, I think I've experienced myself playing in my yard. That's all I will give you though. But
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Oh, I love the Honey I Shrunk the Kids sort of vibe. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Should I not say that one? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, no, no,
They,
no,
they,
no.
don't- they
That's
don't have
not
they,
true.
they don't have the
We'll get
market
there. We'll
cornered
get there.
on tiny
Yeah.
people in
Right,
backyards.
exactly. And so that's kind of how we're doing it. You as a more mature and a more young adult gamer will start to get the more serious topics behind it, and then
I like the way you call me old, but then went to young adult. That was nice. You pivoted real
Yeah,
fast
yeah. You
there.
see
It's
that
a
flip there. That
mature
save.
gamer. I get all the references.
Yeah.
yeah, and then our younger ones will just have a great time feeling cool and getting a great story. And so you'll get both stories, but it'll be in game. I don't want to lock it away too much where you don't get the ideas. I want to have notes and little Easter eggs and stuff like that that specifically will tell you what something represents. And so I think that's
Yeah.
also important. Having that lore right there,
Yeah,
but it's also in front of you. It will
yeah,
help
Yeah.
piece it together.
It's also crazy too to think that when video games first really like started making that mainstream wave in the early '90s, like the average player, I would say would be in their teens, and that average player base did stop playing games. I mean, they're still playing games now. So where's the median average player now? And kids that are growing up, it's so interweaved into the day to day life now that like the player base is only growing. I don't think our
yeah.
gamer player base is shrinking. So where's that average player base? And then how do we appeal to the people that have been playing for such a
Longer
very
time.
long time?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's tough. It's tough to do something that's going to really hit home for that diverse an audience.
Yeah.
So how about
I'm watching this gameplay.
how about these other heavier themes? Like I think, like you said, the creativity and conformity, like that feels like a nice surface layer. Like you're, as soon as you explain it, I understand what you're going for. We're fighting conformity. How do you bring loss and loneliness and those heavier things into this story? I don't know how much you can. I don't know how much of that story is
Yeah, so that's
done
why
and
I would
published.
love to tell you everything, but
I'll handle that one roughly.
yeah.
I'll handle that one roughly.
Someone get
So
the PR department.
Yeah, exactly.
here's a clever way to answer that. So, if you've ever played a game with multiple characters and you fall in love with that character, and then you've grown to learn that character there, what happens when that character is gone? What happens? You feel some kind of way. If you ever heard of Jack and Dexter?
Yeah, I don't think I've played, but
Okay, well,
familiar.
it's like or Mario. Let's just use old school Mario with
No
Yoshi.
idea who that is.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Right.
Mario, no idea.
So
Never heard that.
it's like playing Mario with Yoshi, and Mario's on Yoshi's back, and then you lose Yoshi. You feel the loss of that Yoshi. You feel the loss.
Yeah.
And there's this old game called Yoshi's Story that I loved. And it was a terrifying game for a kid. But you unlock these Yoshis. They were brightly colored, and if your Yoshi died, he was gone for the rest of the game.
For the rest of the game.
Yeah.
That's
It was
hardcore
dark.
for a Mario game.
It was dark.
And here's the thing, you had to play with that Yoshi. So if you were playing with this blue Yoshi, and that was your favorite color because you unlocked them, and you died with your favorite color, you couldn't play with your favorite color anymore. You had to play with your second favorite color.
This is great. I've never heard of this one. That's wild. What platform was that?
N64.
N64. And that right there teaches you, number one, like you learn that you don't want to lose the thing that matters the most to you. So when you learned that from playing Yoshi's Story, you would play with every other Yoshi besides your favorite
The one you
color.
wanted, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird thing, but that concept is engraved in your brain. Like you don't want to lose something. And so we're taking a concept like that slightly into Splatty's Adventures, where you might have there might be a time where you might lose somebody and you might feel that loss of that person. And how will Splatty react to that? How will Splatty react to that? And how will the player react to not having that person there with them? So it's one of those things where as long as the player can actually feel that connection, and then the removal is in the right way, which Sid has done well, because I will tell you, it makes you tear up. When that removal of that character is there, you notice something is missing, and it's almost like that real life. If you ever lost somebody, what do you do next? How do you tread forward? And that's what we're going to tackle. How do you tread forward? And that will be told through possibly level design. It might be told through level design. It might be told through dialogue. It might be even told through a hub world. You never know. But we have all this interwoven, and that's why it's 4D. We have all this interwoven into it where you will pick it up as you're playing it.
Oh, laser beams. And you got laser beams.
Yeah, we like lasers. Lasers are our friend.
Indeed. Do you have a release date in mind, or a goal, or is it dependent on the Kickstarter campaign, or what are the plans for, like, when do you think we might get to experience that story?
I think if the Kickstarter, goes 100% successful, I think realistically our release date, I wrote it down. Let me make sure I don't like giving wrong information. I think it was TBA 2023. That's what we had.
So you've got some big, chunky plans still Eddie. I mean,
Yeah.
because you've got a lot here already. Sounds like
Yeah.
you're planning. It's gonna take some time to meet your vision.
Yeah, I think number one, it takes some time. We want to add somebody else to our team. We want
Hmm.
to find somebody else who's a another level designer who knows a little bit of logic. The hard part is it's hard to get people who want to stay on a project for so long,
Yeah.
working so hard, without any income or any funds. And that's the problem we're having with right now with Dreams. It's like, how can we produce this game? Luckily, I'm crazy enough to do it, and that's the thing. I've been working on this project for since 2019, and we've gotten people who's been investing their own income into supporting developing this game. I mean, it's almost a full-time job. I mean, for me, it is a full-time job. I've jumped off the bridge and I hit the ground hard, and I'm like, what's next? And you're just trying to survive. And it's like, okay, this Kickstarter can help give us a breath of air to deliver this game. I mean, 3 levels is already an hour and a half for some people, and that's impressive. But we have way more. It doesn't take that much to see how much work has gone into our game, but we need we need support from our community, and I think for the longest time we got a lot of a kickback from our community because they like, oh, they think their game is great. Well, just try it
Yeah.
out and give yourself that answer. If try it out. We're not cocky people. We're not whatever people think we are. If they just talk to us, communicate, they support us, could help we could help change how Media Molecule and Sony or whoever views dreams. And I think that's very important because I remember in the Discord chats, people just slandered us. They slandered us, and they're like, they're said they're not doing games in a beta evaluation. They this and that. This game, they don't know anything about design. They have no experience. They're gonna blah 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 blah. It's like, well, how would
Yeah.
anybody do it if nobody takes a step? And if you're gonna slander them, then it'll never get done. That's why they're not doing it that often. And we've been blessed to be a part of the beta evaluation. I have been denied twice. You know what I'm saying? Because I applied multiple times, hoping that we could figure something out because we're running out of income to support ourselves, and that's the important part. It's like you gotta have a team, and we're a small team of 5, but even then, it's not enough. We need one more person that's good, that knows
Yeah. Yeah.
dreams, that can get it done.
Is there what specific skills are you looking for, or what qualities are you looking for in a new team member, Tad?
We're looking for somebody who understands, I think for the most part, logic at this point. We need somebody who can understand logic a little bit and a teeny bit of level design, more or less logic, so that I can split that part off from me a little bit and I can focus on background everything because I stitch everything together. And we have level design, which is it. He's like our gray box guru, and then he stops where his art stops, and that's fine. And we have Mark, who's our artist, who creates the models, and that's great. And he stops where his skill stops. And PB tests, and he's fantastic. And Nilo composes, and that's fantastic. But in order to make a level, it has to have motion and it has to work with logic. I'm the logic guy, but I'm also finishing the level at the same time while
Yeah.
improving older systems to make sure it works. So if I could have somebody who's willing to learn and willing to stick with it for a long time, willing to sign a contract and whatnot, that's the type of person we need. Somebody who can really say, I want to help make a full game and realize that this isn't just a project. This is your portfolio. This is something that you can say you worked on. If you was to apply for a job, say, hey, I built Splatty's Adventures in this system. Here's the game I made.
Yeah.
Play it.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think. I think
Can I
that's
touch
what
on
we
that?
need. Go
Hmm.
ahead.
Can I touch on that? So, with Unite, the company that I own, um, it was interesting to me that I'm working on another IP, which is why KJ is also looking, for the additional help because as I'm building two projects at the same time, I'm very split. but I was so shocked at how much Dreams translates into, say, Unreal Engine is the game engine we're building it in.
Hmm.
Um, I know more than some of my programmers, my 3D modelers, and even my level designer, because of what Dreams had taught me and the terminology. Um, I think that it's so overshadowed how much real world experience people are getting from Dreams. And that comment, like KJ was saying, we saw in the Discord on our Kickstarter thing, people were bashing us because they were like, they have no real world experience. And then all of my new hires are like, well, where did you get your experience? And I'm like, well, I never went to college for it. All of my stuff was done through Dreams, and this is the product. And they're like, you seem so much more knowledgeable than the people that went to school and were doing it in their field. So to me, it is one of those things that I wish that dreamers would understand, that we have to take ourselves serious if we want other people to take us serious, and understand that this experience does translate completely. You may
Yeah.
not understand the operating system, say if someone left, they may not understand Unreal or Unity, but once you break it down to its core components, all your dreams experience 100% transfers over. And so
Yes.
that to me was the most shocking thing
Yeah. No,
that I've
like
ever
I,
seen.
I just want to double down on that. Like that's a really important point. I mean, maybe if you got any job in professional game development, you're not going to be working in Dreams. You're not going to be using Dreams logic chips, obviously.
Yeah,
But all of those skills, everything, everything
translate
you
all of
learn
them. Yeah,
about how to set up a system, even though
Yeah.
programming and code is completely different than Dreams, if you learn
hmm
just the logic of how to set up a system, that is valuable. I mean, the art that you make in Dreams teaches you,
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, it's
absolutely.
art. It's just you made it with a different
Yeah,
tool. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
Right.
but all of those skills you can take with you to other places. Absolutely.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's super important for people to understand that. And so as they see us trying to be a leader or um the person who really tries to step through that door and like be welcoming to our players, our fans, and our feedback and stuff like that, it's because we're trying to show people, number one, that it is possible to do it inside of Dreams. And with Sid and Unite, they've blessed my team with allowing us to come together and work, because we are from across the world. We're from the Netherlands, everywhere, and we come to this office once a week almost, or maybe we've done it twice this year. I don't know, and just work together in the office and really shell out our last three levels. We shelled out in our office and got the work done quick, fast, and it's things like that where I think is very useful for us, and I think it's very awesome. And I'm blessed to be able to have this opportunity to work on this game. But I also want people to understand, like, we're doing this, we're making this game inside of Dreams because we also want to see this engine become just as,
Yeah,
if it
yeah,
can, become
Hmm.
just as much of a versatile tool as the other ones. Because I like the visual way that Dreams does it, and
Yeah.
I would sacrifice the variables if I can still make a game and somehow gain a profit from it. And I think Kickstarter is a first step for us, and it was for Noguchi's Bell, and I totally support it. Like sharing helps,
Yeah.
commenting, telling people how great it is. That small stuff helps, and I think what we found out is, like, if people really want projects and their next project to be important, share, comment, tell people about it. Don't just be like, "Oh, I don't like that game." Like, why not? Did you play it? Do you think like they're gonna just stop with us? That might not be it.
yeah,
They might keep
yeah.
going. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
why would
Can I
they
say
let
something?
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I think that the misconception is that we're doing this for ourselves. So like everybody doesn't know behind the scenes that invested in KJ. I took him out of his. I made KJ do some extreme things, some really extreme things.
Ooh.
But I was fortunate enough to have an adequate amount of wealth to where I'm like, KJ, quit your job, focus on dreams,
Yeah.
because I believe that if Dreams can succeed with a game, any game, doesn't matter who does it first, but if it can succeed and the engine by itself becomes an engine that you know the world can take serious, what it does for those people who don't have, like, Houdini is a program that one of my programmers is using, and it's $3,900 to get the license. Perforce, which is another engine that we also use, which is for our back end server stuff, it's 400 a person. 3ds Max, Maya, uh, that you could obviously use Blender, but Maya itself is $2,000. So
Wow.
just to get going,
Yeah.
I had to shell out close to $50,000 in just programs just to get everybody on the team to be able to get going. And Dreams
Yeah.
is so all of those programs in one, and cheaper and inexpensive. All you need is a PlayStation. Like, I wanted to succeed as much as Unreal is succeeding, and so that's why I took the major leap in investing in KJ. I'm like, dude, you got to do this because it's more than just Splatty's Adventure, the cute little character
Right.
that everybody loves to hate, because the sounds may be annoying, whatever. But it's the matter of, like, Dreams needs more success. It needs a lot more success because we're being punched down on by everyone in the industry because they're like, oh, well, you can't export, you can't do this, you can't sell in the market. It's like, but what if the what ifs get answered? What if we are able to export? What if we are able to sell our games in the market? Then what? Then will
Yeah,
you
it's like
take us
will we
serious?
yeah, will we even have something to show for it? So if
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
already
at that
have
point, yeah.
something on there, if we already have games built on there by people like, Acer and what's it the craft guy, piece of craft, games
Piece of
like that.
craft, yeah.
I
Hmm.
I I love the fact that they're really making games. I want to play their games. I
Yeah.
want them to make full games so I can play and enjoy that I don't have to make because I see their quality. And if they could show the support that show for them, but do the exact same support for me, I think that helps build a community. Because now, if we have a great carding game, a great platforming game, and a great RPG game, and then you have Trend and whatever the other games,
Yeah.
and whatever, maybe down the line, maybe they will allow for that, or maybe they'll have some kind of special tag or something, or something, or maybe they'll get sponsors to help people like us make it because obviously they don't hire across they don't hire people from the US. And it's like
Not
if
very
I look
often.
up, not very often. It's like,
Yeah.
well, if it's a very interesting thing, and I think what the main thing is if it all didn't work, doesn't pan out, at least I will have something to showcase. And like Sid says, it translates.
Yeah.
And I want to have this full game that people can experience. And it will definitely, I guarantee it because I won't quit. I won't give up. It will definitely be something to talk about. And that's what I want. I want to make something for people to talk about, raise their eye, and think this was made by a team of five, maybe six on a PS5 inside of Dreams,
Yeah, we.
and it's a fun game, and it's already like I said, it's already like 3 hours long, and I think
Yeah,
that's important for people to remember. Like you've just been playing two levels, well, while talking to us, there's a lot of levels, a lot of content, a lot of things to unlock, a lot of things to do,
hmm
and it just gets bigger. That's life
yeah.
for
I
me.
think that too. It's like we ultimately have to appeal to Sony. Sorry about my camera. Like, if you want to boil it down, we have to show Sony, like, as a community, this is a engine. Like, this is a game engine, and so
Oh, and film engine, but yeah,
yeah,
game engine.
And
we're
film
showing
engine
them
and
it's a
music
game
engine
engine.
and yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. It's everything all in one, and we basically, everybody has to come together almost in protest by showing these creative projects from start to finish, like full creative projects inside this, to show Sony, like, we want to be able to break out and be free essentially. And so that's why it's important that, whoever gets a Kickstarter next,
correct.
I'll be supporting whoever has it next, whoever had it before me. I'll always be supporting because Dreams Projects needs to succeed for Sony to really take us serious. Because if we don't take ourselves serious, then who's going to? And I think that's why I love KJ's tenacity. I think that if people think he's an off-putting person, it's just he's one of those people that's very persistent and he'll never stop trying. And you need that, especially when everybody's in your ear, like, dude, like Dreams is flecky, it's cheap looking, and you have
You won't
128
make any
variables.
money. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, you won't make any money and all that stuff. So for me, I was just like, well, let's eliminate money right now. Let's just focus on making a great product, and that's kind of like what we did. Was just like this whole year for KJ was just try and give it your all, and he spent so many hours a night just staying up till 3 in the morning, just really doing it for everyone, truthfully, because we need people that are this dedicated about the engine to really show Sony, Big Brother Sony, like, hey, like let us grow into a marketplace. Let us,
Yeah.
Microsoft did it with Minecraft. Now Minecraft has where the developers can sell their stuff. We want to be the same way. We want to be able to sell
Yeah.
our products.
Roblox garnishes what, like 40
Yeah,
billion a year? And it's
Yeah.
like
yeah,
Yeah.
just a lot of money. And half those games on there, I think the community and dreams could definitely make way faster and better.
way
That's
faster.
just a
Yeah.
Yeah,
fact,
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so yeah, it needs the right
okay.
push from the community, and it needs the community to stand together and not against each other and saying, oh, Noguchi's bell doesn't look that great. No, I like Noguchi's bell, and I like the fact that he reached out to me, and then I shared his stuff. And every time he posted, I shared his stuff without a heartbeat, And whether it was reciprocated or not, that doesn't matter because I want to make sure that if anybody's trying to make something of themselves, I'm gonna share it, I'm gonna heart it, and I'll do my best when I can when I'm not busy staying up till 3 o'clock working on Splatty's Adventures. That's just
All the
how.
time, literally all the time.
Well,
It's
one thing I
ridiculous.
one thing I love that I'm hearing from both of you that that strikes me as very similar to the Noguchi's Bell project is your passion about dreams as a platform. Like that there's just as much fire behind the project, behind the concept of the project and the game itself as there is behind I really want to help push dreams into get dreams more visibility and you have tremendous faith in the platform and Michael the founder of Cybersheep, when you get him talking about dreams, I mean it's the exact same speech. Like it is just
Yeah,
he has so much faith in it. My butt is in this chair and has been for over 2 years because of this platform. I mean, I love
yeah.
games. I love these people. I love this community. But the reason I decided to sit in this chair and commit to streaming this game, it's dreams. I've got a lot of faith in the platform, and yeah, and I want to see it. I'm right there with you guys. I really want to see it succeed in
hmm
any way possible.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I couldn't count on my hands how many times a year, I think it was year 1.5, we were talking to KJ, me and Mark, and like, man, KJ, make it an Unreal. You'll be able to sell it in 2 years. Just make it an Unreal. And he was adamant about staying in this community. I, as an investor, so, like I have investors mindset. So I'm like, well, I'm looking at numbers, right? And so I'm like, well, it doesn't make sense. But KJ was like, well, you just got to believe me. And I get it. Like, now that I saw how the experience translated into real world, like with the IP that I'm building, it's just like, yeah, I see the value in dreams and I respect it as such. And everybody in the office that comes from, school, they all went to college, some have masters, some have bachelors, whatever. They see dreams and they're like, oh, okay, I didn't even know that existed. It's like,
It's
yeah,
always
like
didn't know existed.
yeah, they never knew it existed. I'm like, yeah, and that's one of those things too. It's like, well, we can make this exist, but it takes enough people saying we want to be heard to actually be heard. And so that's why it's good to have the podcast like this because you could have stopped and moved on to a different category in Twitch, and you may have found success on the platform elsewhere, but you're still here. And so you're saying just as loudly as everyone else. You want this platform to be heard. And I think that Media Molecule switching their mindset and understanding that they need to support the developers more is also their way of saying, we want you guys to be heard. I mean, anyone can check the Trello and see what they're working on. Some of that stuff is things that Unreal uses, the baking, lighting, and transparent textures and stuff like that. That is like, I mean, it doesn't get any closer to
Yeah.
what Unreal's trying to do. And Unreal sees that and they're pulling ideas from Dreams in Unreal. I see it all the time. Like
Yeah.
they're trying to get it as simple as Dreams can be because they want to take over. And it's like, well, that's how you know you have something great is imitation. Imitation is a form of flattery. So
Absolutely.
that's one of those things that I just like, man, we as a community have to come together because we're only getting smaller by the day, truthfully.
Yeah.
So we have to come together to really like if if you see a project that is a great idea and you want to be a part, reach out to the creators because you never know. They may be like just on their last leg, like I really wish I had someone to help. We have to help each other. We
Yeah.
have to.
Absolutely.
But that's all I'll say to about it. I won't rant.
Oh, feel free to rant at your leisure.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times we do rant about dreams, but there's a lot of positive things that do happen from it. So
Positive, yeah.
Well,
I
we're
won't rant.
passionate. You know, we're like we
Yeah,
care a lot.
yeah.
So so when it's time, like you know, I'll put on my gloves. I'll put on my boxing gloves
Yeah,
if I need
you'll
to.
grill them. You'll grill them
Yeah.
medium well. Yeah,
Praise him. Thank you, Media Molecule. Thank you. This is awesome.
yeah,
Thank you.
I,
Thank you. You know, you're doing an awesome
yeah.
job.
so you mentioned a few minutes ago the beta evaluation program. For anyone who's not familiar with that, it is it's a oh boy, it's a program for allowing you to monetize a creation in Dream, not to monetize it in Dreams itself, but to use it commercially outside the Dreams platform. I don't know. I'm probably not explaining it well, and it's a beta program, and I think it's probably changing and you know and morphing over time. But I'm curious if you're able to talk about the first few times you applied and like maybe what the trial and error was, or like what helped you get approved by the program. Just really, I know you might not want to, or might not be able to talk about everything there, but anything you can get into, I would love to hear about.
Um, it was pretty much. I mean, as soon as I saw the evaluation and I read it and it said not doing games, I'm like, I'm apply.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
remember.
I mean,
applied because
Like
I read that
music,
as we're
apply.
not doing like this is not for games, meaning you can't apply to this and publish your game outside of Dreams. Like you can't, we're not going to like let you
right.
export, you know, that's not
Yeah,
what we're doing here.
it was a very interesting wording, but I was just like, well, my game's pretty big, maybe, and you know, and I applied and I got denied, and then I think maybe several months later I applied again because people's getting you know approved for music or whatever and art, and I'm just like I can't keep work because I was working three jobs. I mean, I teach dance, and then I was working at this office. I had a great, comfy office job, making good money, and but then at the same time, I was also working on Splatties while I was there. I was typing away, daydreaming, writing notes, drawing sticky notes, sticking them on my cabinets, and I had pictures and everything. People's like, "Your office is so cool," like all the time, and that's what happened. And I go home and I do the work, but then after a while, I'm just like, okay, let me apply again. And I got denied. But this time they, you know, they just wrote me and just said they're sorry, they're just not doing game projects at this time. And I was like, but here's what the thing. They said they weren't doing it at this time. And I'm just like, okay, well, I'll wait again, you know? And I don't take, you can tell me no a whole bunch of times. I won't take no for an answer because eventually it might be a yes. If I would have
Yeah.
just given up and just hopped off and then went to another engine, that would have been it. There would have never been a Splice Adventure Kickstarter. But then I applied again and um I got approved and I was shocked and I was happy and I'm like, okay, well, let's do this. And then after I got approved, then Cyber Sheep Films popped up, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna release it while theirs is up. I wanted to give him time too, and I felt like
Yeah.
it was weird because I think we got approved a couple months before Cybersheet Films popped up, but we weren't ready yet because we were working
Yeah.
on our next 3 levels. We wanted to make sure people got to see the game before we released it. And so then once he allowed his go, we decided to wait till his was pretty much done. And then that's when we kicked ours up. And that's kind of why the timing was like that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then after we got ours up, it's kind of just been a journey trying to get people to donate. And I've got a lot of support from my local area, which is very interesting because I
Oh.
guess I got a lot of local people. I do teach dance, but I have a lot of local family and friends who supported me, and I think that's really cool. And I got a couple people online. I think that's awesome, and I just want to be able to succeed and actually deliver. But it wasn't nothing special I did. I just applied a couple times, and I'm pretty sure they looked at the project and was like, "Well, if we're gonna start, let's start with this," versus if I made oh, this is Wario and Mario, and I applied. You know what I'm saying? Like that might not, they might not approve that, but I guess they saw our project and say, "Hey, let's just try it with this one."
Fabulous.
And that's yeah.
There are so many stories. I mean, I've heard so many stories from people about about some sort of success that was just down to persistence, like down to just just ask again. Don't be obnoxious, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you don't want to you don't want to turn people off by being. You can be too persistent, but a lot of times, like people's stories are just, look, I just showed up here, and they said, no, we don't want to hire you. And I showed up the next day and said, are you sure you don't want to hire me? And they're
Right.
like, oh, well, maybe we do.
Yeah.
You never
Yeah.
know how close you are to a yes
Yeah.
sometimes
I mean,
until
I've
you
even
ask.
applied to Media Molecule. Yeah, I've even applied to them multiple times.
Yeah.
It's like
How
I
many?
think
Yeah.
three times.
You
Type
did. You
type a one
applied
in
several
chat right
times.
now. Type a one in chat if you've applied for a job at Media Molecule. I want to see how many people that are here. I may have done that. I may have applied for a job at Media Molecule as well.
It's like,
Yeah.
and I took that on, then I wait for a different position, I apply for that one, and then I wait for a different position, I apply for that one, and then at some point I'm like, maybe they don't want me to apply because maybe they want me to just work on my game. I don't know. And I just say, okay, well, maybe it is because I'm from the U.S.
Yeah.
You never know, and I might apply again. It's just one of those things where it takes money to be a creator. It is. It just takes some kind of income to support yourself being a creator, whether it's through podcasts or Kickstarter. I mean, like Patreon, Kickstarters, or monetization of some sort. You need some kind of monetization to survive. I mean, unless you're on the streets next to a light post with, your PlayStation 5 and a console, I guess you really don't need it.
You
But
need a place to plug it in still. It's
Yeah.
but if it
Where are
comes
we getting
down
that
to it,
power from?
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'll hang out in an alley with my PlayStation if I have to. If
Hmm.
that's what it takes.
He's dedicated like that.
That's beautiful.
Mhm.
Sid, we're getting close to the end of our time here. I don't want to keep you guys. I don't want to keep you guys over long. But after you mentioned that you're working on a project in, was it Unity or Unreal?
No, it's an Unreal
Unreal.
5 project.
Okay, I would just love to hear maybe just a little bit about that project, and maybe if you have any thoughts about your experience working in Unreal versus Dreams. Anything you'd like to
Yeah.
share there?
Well, yeah. So, the project is like it's a new IP. I don't want to give the genre away because I want to save that for January because we are going to do a alpha test in January and we're going to push it pretty much to everybody to pull in some early investments. But yeah, as far as like from what I've seen from working with Unreal and Dreams, is like Unreal is they're trying to mimic the workflow of Dreams. I think um, we've had instances where it's like we'll model something, bring it in from Maya, and then the rotation orientation will be off, and it's like, well, when Dreams, you model it in the same engine, you don't have to import it, so then
Right.
orientation doesn't get off, and there's just so many little caveats to working in the same engine that you don't think about, but it's like when you have to jump from exporting and importing and exporting and file migration, and then like things get messed up in translation, and Unreal reads certain things a certain way. So,
Yeah.
simple things from like, oh, a texture. It's like a texture can look one way in Maya or Substance Painter, and then once you bring it into Unreal, the origin axis is off, and then it's stretched, and then it's so. We've encountered a lot of the quirks, and I just sit there every day like, oh my gosh, in dreams this would be so much easier. But
Yeah.
once again, Unreal's trying to do that. So now they have a plugin where you can enable creating models inside of Unreal. You don't need Maya, but it's so new. It's like,
Oh,
my modelers, they're looking at it and they're like, well, it's new and I have to spend all this time learning it, but it pretty much has all the features of a 3D modeling program, but you don't
wow.
have to leave Unreal to model. They're trying to do what Dreams is doing to the T, and it's
Yeah.
not bad,
Yeah.
but it's like, hey,
They
Media
should, right?
Molecule, yeah, but that's where I'm like, well, Media Molecule, sooner or later,
Yeah.
everybody's gonna see a great idea and they're gonna copy it, i.e., Battle Royale. That got copied so many different ways, so many different times, and it's like we have to move fast. I mean, truthfully, we do.
Yeah.
We have to move fast. And it's some of those features I've worked with Unreal. I just wish that they would just bring over. I'm sure they're trying. I'm sure they're trying, but I also sure they didn't anticipate us being so involved in the engine.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Perforce, like I was saying earlier, Perforce. So when we have our files, we put them on our server, and then we sync it. In Dreams, it pretty much no one works on an old version. There's no mix up in Dreams, really. You're always working on the latest version. But in Perforce, sometimes if you don't sync it or you do sync it, it doesn't get the latest version.
Right.
So then you do
Right.
all your work on an old version, and then you lose hours of work because when you sync it, it then reverts all your changes and you get the,
Hmm.
the latest version. So yeah, I'm just like, man, Dreams is optimized. Like, we don't know how good
Yeah.
we got it.
How,
Okay,
how many
we got it pretty
programs?
nicely.
How many programs does it take to work on the project you're
Um.
doing compared to one for Dreams?
Oh my gosh. So
I mean,
you
you
start with
mentioned
the
a bunch of them
model.
earlier, and they're
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah,
expensive.
yeah. No,
But how
you
many are
start with.
there?
So let's start with modeling. Right. With modeling, you have like Maya, and say we make a model in Maya. We then unwrap it, and then we take that into Substance. Right. And then once we get the texture for it created, and we do the UVs and the normals, we then take that and put it into Blender because Blender seems to be the only way we would get the right orientation. Once we take
Oh,
it from Blender, we then export it again, and then we bring that into Unreal. And
wow.
then when we bring our texture in Unreal, it breaks every single time. So we have to then rewire the texture inside of Unreal. So we go through about 5 hoops before we actually get the model in and can see what's going on with it. So it's
So
just
how many
Yeah.
like
programs is that? So that's just three
that.
right there, but don't you use
Yeah,
more?
yeah. Maya, Substance,
But still, that's crazy.
Blender
Like
to Unreal,
3 programs and these
just for
extra
modeling.
steps just to
Yeah,
get your model in there before you even do
yeah.
anything with it. Like,
Yeah, and
wow.
so there's primitives in Unreal, but like when we want to do VFX, they have Niagara, but obviously Niagara is very complex. But Houdini is what the industry's been using for pretty much all VFX for movies, for games. If you've seen Returnal, Returnal uses Houdini. And so it's like, well, now you take it from Houdini and then you have to import that VFX
Yeah.
file into Unreal, and then that requires a plugin in Unreal to read the Houdini files, and then you still have to tweak those when they
Wow.
get in engine. So,
And I'm like,
there,
oh,
it,
with Splatties, I'm just gonna delete those
yeah,
flags and just
yeah,
redraw them
those flags,
because
Yeah.
that's an emitter,
yeah,
and I could just already make the effect. So
Hey,
it's very
we need a different looking mushroom for this. Boop 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 boop.
interesting.
Okay,
yeah,
got a
that
mushroom.
really gets me. It tickles me because we poke fun at KJ here all the time. We're like, "Hey
Oh, especially
KJ,
with
we
the
just made a new
variables.
variable, just made a new persistent variable.
Yeah,
What
they're
you think
always
of
like,
that?"
"Guess what I did, KJ? I just made a new variable." And I'm like, you're funny because they have unlimited, whereas I'm making a full game with 128, and it was possible. I got a spreadsheet of all the
Yeah,
variables,
yeah.
and I realized I was over, and I'm like, all right, let me multiply. And I had a old multiplier that multiplied by 5 efficiently, but then when I came up with the new one, I'm like, times 23, that means more content, more features, more unlocks, which makes the player feel more special. And
That means
that helps.
Yeah.
that means the next time you hear, "Hey, guess what? I just added a variable," you go, "Cool,
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly how I felt. Just like, cool.
cool, we're good."
Yeah. I love Dreams. I mean, the vocal recording stuff that's in Dreams is really great.
Yeah.
All we did for the Silent Night fight was just record it in Ableton, which is like a music program. We denoised, did some touches, and they just brought it into Dreams, and then all the effects. I mean, you can just go in Dreams and use, and it's like
Yeah,
Ableton, you have to have a master's degree in Ableton to truly understand it. But Dreams is like, oh, it's right there. Pitch,
yeah.
what is it, Sense or something like that? You just tweak them very quickly, and yeah,
The
Dreams
audio
is so
importer is
streamlined.
amazing. The audio
Yeah,
importer is
it's really
amazing.
good.
I
I went
used it
out
just
to
today.
I went out
Yeah,
to the public with my audio recorder and record all these sounds for our future levels.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, can't wait to import these babies because these are gonna be so unique. I won't hear them not once in dreams. And people be like, oh, it's cool. I'm telling you, audio is so important to games, and people don't recognize it.
Yeah.
Like you can hear. Here's the thing. There's like so many good. We got these pillars. There's so many important pillars. There's music. If you can hear a song from a game and recognize the game from just a music, that's great. Everybody can recognize Splatty's music. That's awesome. Then you have the audio, the sound effects. If you can recognize the sound effects from just the game, like Mario's jumping sound.
Yeah.
You know what Sonic or whatever those sounds might be, and you can know the game. And then so that's an important pillar. And then it's the visuals. How can you visually story? It's so many. A game is literally a sandwich, and I want to make sure that our sandwich has the most flavor and is unique, and it's not just bread, bologna, and bread. It's
Yeah.
I mean,
bread,
those are good
bologna,
sandwiches.
tomatoes,
So
lettuce, cheese, salt and pepper, a couple pickles, a little bit of mayo, and then you smash it together. Matter of fact, you toast the bread. You take the bread out,
Oh
toast, you
yeah.
put a little bit of butter on it,
Can I have mustard?
and then you cut it in half with a little bit of mustard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
a
You know what
little
I'm
bit
saying?
of
Like
mustard, honey mustard.
that's what we need to make
Yeah,
sure we do. Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it is a really nice touch, and it goes a long way creating your own sounds versus like the dream sounds are fabulous. That is a huge
They
collection of
are.
amazing
They
sounds,
are.
but I have played something like 25,000 creations in dreams,
Mhm.
Hmm.
and now those sounds do not, they just say dreams to me, right? They're still great and they're
Yeah,
perfect, and I'm glad
yeah.
people use them. But when I hear those sounds, I don't think of, oh, this one game someone made in Dreams.
Yeah.
I think,
You just think
oh, that's a
dream.
Dreams explosion. That's a Dreams
Exactly.
power up. That's a Dream. Like I know that. Like it's but it's
Yeah,
not unique.
and that is the interesting take. It is so true because you'll hear the sound effects and you know exactly what sound effects it is because you heard it either plenty of times before or you used it and it's like, oh, it's a dream sound. But when it's unique, you'll get a different experience. And that's what our gameplay is. It's unique. We want you to have a different experience. And then we're improving on that. So everything we want in our game is to be unique. It's only made by us. And when we bring on people on our team, like they will have to do the same thing. Everything has to be unique. So there is not seen anywhere else in the Dreamiverse. You can only experience this stuff on Spice Adventures, which is a full game.
And it's a beautiful thing. This is about time to wrap up. Can
Yeah.
I say, well, let me just first say thank you again for having a big long chat here, for taking your time, for bringing your beautiful your beautiful voices and faces to the
Oh my gosh.
podcast. I really appreciate it.
He's gaslighting.
And let me give you a chance to get in the final word. If you got anything, if you got any thoughts you wanna get out, or anything else you want to share with people, or just tell them to get on that Kickstarter one more time, or if you want to plug anything, I'm going to keep going. If you want to tell me the name of your first pet, your mother's maiden name. No,
Ooh.
I'm not trying to hack you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So my social. Let's start with
Yes,
that. I'm
start
kidding.
there.
Yeah. Well, let's start there. No, I think the big takeaway from the interview would be for me is like, yes, we want to plug our Kickstarter. Obviously, KJ, it would help the project.
It would
But the big
definitely help the
takeaway
project.
is we're not doing this for ourselves, and we as a community have to always remember that it only takes one successful project, no matter what genre that project is in, for maybe the Sony higher ups to let us be free. And so that is the epitome behind everything that we stand for
Yeah.
is we're really pushing the boundaries so that Sony can kind of let us, do our thing. And that's what the community has to remember. I mean, people may harbor resentment because they wish that it was them, and we wish that everyone could be, in the position that we're in. We want that for everyone, but ultimately, let's remember that we're doing this for everybody, and inadvertently, like, yeah, it will help speed up development, but you can't survive, 2-3 years off $40,000. That's what our like base goal is,
Yeah.
and that's the point. We're not asking for an egregious amount. We're just asking for enough to get us by,
Yeah.
to really ramp up the
You know.
Yeah.
development.
Yeah. And the last thing I would say is I'll plug that Kickstarter. So yeah,
Yeah.
go
Oh
support.
my God, yeah,
You
KJ
know,
was shamelessly
go
plugged.
support that Kickstarter. We got like I think maybe 20 or 19 days left, and
18.
we're 18 days left, and we're up to 23% funded. So we really need the help. If anybody could donate $5, $25, $35 allow you to play early access, which is the next world as we're developing it. So
Hmm.
that's actually really cool. You get to play the next world that we're developing whenever our Kickstarter, whenever we open the doors, only those players will be able to play. Everybody else they're done with our regular early access. It'll be early access plus only going from this point on.
Can I ask? Are you
Oh,
planning? Are you planning to do that with by adding collaborators in Dreams? Like,
Uh, Here's the
ah,
thing. I won't add collaborators, but how I do have it, I figured I'm a really smart guy. Here we go.
I want to hear it.
So will send out a code that only certain players will be able to place this code in, which will be a variable. If you get that code, you'll have like 2 week flights, so it'll be 2 weeks where you get to put this code in. If you don't have the
Yeah.
code, you can't get through that door because once that
Smart.
that that passcode is gone, only those players will be able to get through that door, and everybody else can only play up to World 2.
That's
That's
smart.
how we're
You've
doing it.
thought
So
about this.
yes.
yeah.
You,
So
yeah.
we've got some good ideas going, and our next world is definitely not one to miss out on. So yeah, support that Kickstarter, and also, why don't you just check out Splatty Adventures, play it again, give it a full playthrough so you can give it a review, and then just write in the comments, leave me feedback, and you'll be surprised. We respond to everybody. Leave feedback. Tell us how we can improve. Tell us what you like. Most people won't say what they like, but tell us how we can improve. We take all feedback and we record it and we put it in our logs, and then you'll understand. You'll get to see our vision. I think that's important. And even look up old videos of us developing it. You can go back to old versions of the game. You'll see it's improved a lot over these past 2.5, 3 years. So I would say play Splatties, give it a fair chance, and definitely support our Kickstarter. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I agree. You should go support their Kickstarter, and that's what I'll be doing later today, or
Oh my
if I
gosh, Kel.
forget later tomorrow, or
Yeah,
just
we
Right.
appreciate it, but
and yeah, and as far as me, thank you, chat. Thank you, everyone, for being here live on Twitch
Thank
for
you, Ted.
the broadcast. And you can catch me on Twitter and YouTube, and the podcast on Spotify. And I'm Keld Jones everywhere, spelled like Keld B. Jones, but don't say it that way, please. And
yes.
yeah, and we're gonna go out. We're gonna go out with. Sorry, this is the first time I've done it. This is gonna be clunky. Next week it'll be all smooth, I hope. But we're gonna go out with the outro song. That's right.
Ooh.
That's right. Mash
Oh
Your
man,
Buttons
that's
didn't just
2
make an
songs.
intro. We've got an outro song. We're gonna go out on that, and I'm just gonna say until next time, keep dreaming.
Look at you go, you listen to an entire podcast with Keld Beyond. Nice dreaming, my friend.